The best emergency radios in 2023, tried and tested. Because severe weather situations can develop extremely quickly, it's imperative you give yourself as much time as possible to prepare. Emergency radios are designed to give you a head start, providing access to NOAA weather frequencies that can alert you to upcoming or current weather situations, like flash floods, hurricanes, blizzards, tornadoes, and more. And to make sure you can keep using them as an emergency is happening, many are also designed with hand cranks and solar panels, so you can extend their running time practically indefinitely even without access to power. With battery charging capability and AM, FM bands, they're also a useful addition to camping or hiking gear. We put 9 of the most popular emergency radios to the test, comparing their ability to issue alerts and receive emergency weather broadcasts, and assessing how functional and useful they would be in an actual emergency situation. If you're looking for an emergency radio that's extremely easy to use while providing a variety of useful bells and whistles, look no further than the Midland ER310, a solidly built weather alert radio that performed well on all of our tests and was simple to use, which means it'll be there if you need it and you'll have no problem operating it when you do. The ER310 is well built, with a sturdy, high-quality feel, and the textured body makes it comfortable to pick up and maintain a good grip on while carrying around. Thanks to a large, bright, backlit LCD screen, I was able to maneuver through the different bands and frequencies without any trouble, and the clear, helpful instruction manual provided any extra assistance I needed. The ER310, a weather alert radio, not just a weather band radio, which means it is able to receive emergency band alerts automatically without you having to tune in first, a useful feature during hurricane season. An emergency checklist was included in the box as well, which was a nice perk, and valuable for anyone buying this radio as part of a larger household emergency kit. The Midland ER310 performed well in testing, providing an impressive 26 minutes of radio time after just 60 seconds of hand cranking. The large handle of the crank was also the most comfortable of all the radios in our group, which can make a big difference if you end up needing it in an extended emergency situation. Its solar panel was also able to charge the radio enough after an hour. Indirect sunlight to provide full functionality, and filled the battery to 1/3 after 6 hours. Your results may vary on these measures depending on the speed you turn the crank or cloudiness of the sky. But under the conditions in which we tested, and in relation to the rest of the radios tested, these results put the ER310 at the top of the group. Setting up the ER301 to receive alerts and receiving the NOAA weather alert test to confirm couldn't have been easier, thanks to a dedicated alert button that enables the function. Other radios we tested used a multi-purpose button that enabled alerts and functioned as a menu button. Even though that's not a deal breaker, we appreciated that the ER310 gave us one less step to remember, an additional point in its favor in a stressful situation. I was also impressed with the brightness of the integrated flashlight, which provided 3 settings to choose from: standard, bright, and flashing. Lower light settings help to conserve battery life, and come in handy if you need to read a map and not just illuminate a hallway. The placement of the button and raised grip also gave an ergonomic, flashlight-like feel to the whole unit, making it easy to direct the beam where I needed it. Its rechargeable 2600 mAh battery was the second largest in our testing group, and combined with the 3 other power options, solar, hand crank, or 6AA batteries, makes the Midlander 310 a reliable choice for anyone who wants to be prepared for power outages and have the ability to charge their mobile devices. How to choose an emergency radio. What's the difference between an emergency radio and regular radio? Emergency radios are designed to provide accurate and up-to-date weather information and alerts, using the NOAA National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration network of radio stations. while your typical transistor radio will only receive AM, FM stations. Granted, in an emergency like a hurricane or flood situation, your AM, FM stations may provide weather info, but they're not going to provide the around-the-clock updates that you get from a dedicated NOAA station. Emergency radios can also offer additional features that can be valuable in an emergency, like hand cranks and solar panel chargers when batteries run low, and USB ports to charge your phone. Do I really need an emergency radio? If you think you could be in an emergency weather situation, you should probably get an emergency radio. Power grids can go out, cell towers can go down, phone batteries can die, and in fast-moving weather events, up-to-date information can give you time to get to safety. Those who live in areas frequented by dangerous weather events, like flash floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes should absolutely have an emergency radio. Plus, according to the National Weather Service, NOAA broadcasts can include non-weather emergencies and natural disasters when appropriate, making them even more useful. What kind of emergency radio do I need? The extra bells and whistles of an emergency radio may seem gimmicky at first, but considering the uncertain and unpredictable nature of weather and natural emergencies, they can be extremely useful when the time comes. To choose the best option for you, take some time to think about the types of weather emergencies that are common to your area and the features that would be most helpful to you. You should also make sure you're aware of whether or not you're buying a weather band radio or a weather alert radio. We suggest a weather alert radio, like the Midland ER310. These will automatically alert you of weather emergencies whether the radio is turned on and tuned in or not, while weather band radios must be turned on and tuned into the emergency band to receive the alert. Weather band radios have their uses if you're expecting poor weather, but weather alert radios are more generally useful since situations can change quickly. If you want to give yourself as many options as possible when it comes to power, go with a radio that has at least 3 charging methods. Whether those are solar panels, hand cranks, a rechargeable battery, or replaceable alkaline batteries. They all add up to being more prepared for emergencies that could last more than a day or two. USB charging capability is another useful feature. Having your radio double as a power bank for your phone can be even more valuable than receiving NOAA transmissions, and can allow you to call for help when necessary. Combined with a manual crank or solar panel, these two features can keep your phone functioning even during power outages. The type of light source is another factor to consider. While flashlight-style beams are great for searching around the house when the power goes out, they're not as useful for tasks like reading or eating in the dark. These activities would benefit from a lantern-style light that can cast a broader beam and doesn't require anyone to hold it in place. Since many of the radios we tested had similar features, and it can be overwhelming to try and choose one without seeing them in person, we ran each one through a comprehensive testing and evaluation process. This allowed us to confidently select our top pick and will hopefully provide the information you need to choose the best option for you. Perhaps most importantly, an emergency radio should be easy to use, since you won't want to waste precious time searching and pressing buttons or fumbling through an instruction manual during an emergency. We paid close attention to the layout and function of the buttons or dials, and made note of any steps or controls that were confusing or required any trial and error to use correctly. To assess performance, we tuned each radio into our local NOAA weather broadcast, comparing both how simple the tuning process was and the clarity of the transmission from our basement. For the radios that were designed to automatically alert you when a weather alert is issued, we activated the alert setting and waited until the NOAA's weekly alert test, which occurs every Wednesday. We compared how effectively each radio received the alert, as well as how having the alert setting activated affected the rest of the radio's functions. The Kato KA340 Weather Alert Radio, for example, required you to turn this alert setting off if you wanted to use any other radio function, which seems impractical. After draining the batteries overnight, we evaluated the effectiveness of each radio's various charging methods. To look at hand crank charging, we cranked continuously for 1 minute, then left the radio running on the NOAA weather station and timed how long it took to run out of juice. We noted how ergonomic the crank handles felt, how comfortable they were to use, and the effort required to turn them. For radios with solar panels, we again drained their batteries overnight and then placed them in direct sunlight in our backyard. We checked in after an hour to see how much, or if any, battery power was generated, and again 6 hours later. While setting up and testing each radio, we kept a close eye on their overall build quality. We noted whether they felt cheap and flimsy or sturdy and well-built. We also made sure to use all the dials, sliders, knobs and buttons too. See if any were loose and rattled around, or if they had a solid, secure feel. We explored each radio's light features, especially those that had multiple settings like SOS beacons or lantern-style LEDs that could be more useful than just a simple flashlight-style beam. We compared their brightness as well, and how simple or confusing they were to turn on and off. The storage capacity of the battery, measured in mAh, indicates how much power your radio will be able to hold and how effective it will be when charging a cell phone. Current flagship phones have batteries rated in the 3000 to 4000 mAh range. We checked each radio's specs to find out their specific mAh, and was surprised to find such a wide range, 850 to 4000 milliamp hours, within our testing group. We preferred radios with more capacity. We compared each radio's power source options, battery capacity, any USB charging abilities, and whether or not they had a backlit display. This gave us a better idea of each radio's overall functionality and the value it could provide in an emergency.